Hello and welcome to the all-new NRLW Weekly podcast with me, Marlee Silva, and NRLW legend Ruan Sims, thanks to Light and Easy, fueling women in sport. On the show today, Makenzie Weale is ruled out for the season after a dangerous hip drop tackle. We've got some rookies who have been on absolute fire this season that we tell you all about. And we have an interview with the Dragons' Tyla Nathan-Wong just after her team matched the record for most amount of points scored in the NRLW. Rue, it's been another great round of women's rugby league. How did you see it?
It has. There was some big results on the weekend and some tight games as well. So, yeah, I enjoyed this round of footy, actually. It's I think especially now that the season's a little bit longer, you can just sort of see how teams are settling into that grind of week in, week out footy, because when it was so short before, you can always keep that energy up for a very short period of time. And so now we're seeing some teams really step up and continue that energy through a longer period of time. So it is really exciting. And the skill sets, obviously, we've spoken about every single week, they just get better. The longer the season is, the more time these girls are in these professional environments, they're only going to improve. And we see that consistently. So, yeah, really excited from the weekend. And now I did manage to get just one player for top player. Yeah, I managed it.
Well done.
I know I did. Like I had to really knuckle down and give myself a talking to. But this is not because we had her on the podcast last week, but Georgia Hale was my player of the round. She played 64 minutes, I think it was, or 66 minutes. So she got a little break at a small break. Yeah. She made 49 tackles. She made 136 run meters with a try, 7 tackle breaks and a line break. Jeez. And this is the thing, right? She does this consistently for the Titans. This isn't a one-off thing. She does this level of work consistently. And also when you consider she was a half. Yeah. She was a half. She played for the Kiwi Ferns as a half. She's made this incredible transition to the ball-playing lock role. And we saw her work on her craft in the previous season, but now she's just stepped up to another level. And she just provides a really great link, which allows the halves to sit a little wider, take some pressure off Kirioratu, who's a very good young half, and just creates a lot of opportunity for the Titans. So, yeah, she is she's my player of the round.
I think you did say last week after we just had her on about that consistency and how she just brings it every week. So, I mean, what's the opposite of a commentator's curse? You just pumped her up, and it happened again.
I don't know, but I like it. Yes. I'm here for it.
Was there a particular game from the round or a moment that really stood out as the best?
I don't know about the best, but I just think that the Roosters' performance on the weekend, I mean, they are just clocking up points. Like their for and against is ridiculous. Yeah. Their differential is amazing. And I really like just how they go about their work, and they're flexing their muscle. So it's not really a moment or match of the round, but what they did and the win that the Knights had sets up a mouth-watering clash for this weekend. So that's why that's my moment for this week, because it's setting up for next weekend, and I can't wait for that. I'm really looking forward. We'll dive into that a little bit.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, can't wait.
Well, let's get stuck into things. Some of the standout moments, maybe not for the best reasons, from the past weekend. The Cowboys, one of the Cowboys players has copped a monster ban for a horror tackle. So what we saw was Cowboys forward Makenzie Weale potentially facing a 2 to 3 match ban for an alleged hip drop tackle on Alexis Tauaneai during their side's loss to the Dragons on Saturday. I was up there in Townsville. I saw it with my own eyes. And that replay of her knee in that
buckling,
that was kind of the textbook why we were trying to get the hip drop out of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was ugly to watch. It really was. And, I can see why she's facing a significant stint on the sideline. And it's just unfortunate that will rule her out for the rest of the season. But it was a careless, dangerous tackle. You can just sort of see how her body weight flicked around, and poor Alexis as well. Like, hopefully that she's all right, because she couldn't come back from it. I saw her trying to strap it up, and then I saw Jess, their physio, just give her a tap and say, it's not happening, Dal, and you could see how upset she was. So hopefully that's not too serious, that knee injury to her. She's an excellent young player. She's been really good for the Dragons. So I'm pretty sure Makenzie will be disappointed with herself there, because she's been very good for the Cowboys this year, and that was it. Yeah. It was unfortunate.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Unfortunate. So,
Dragons coach Jamie Soward, who we know is quite an emotional man, particularly in a press conference, said it was the worst hip drop he'd ever seen. I can't evaluate on that, but for people who are kind of maybe not super familiar with what a hip drop is, it's probably a buzzword that anyone who's been paying attention to rugby league heard this year. Can you describe
what it is? Yeah, okay. So the NRL came out and they made very clear parameters around what a hip drop is and what constitutes a hip drop. And what it is when you're holding onto the upper body of an attacking player and you swing, or your body swings around, and the bulk of your body weight lands on a lower limb of the attacking player, which, when you watch on replay, there's a few that have happened, and all of those mechanisms have been in place. And I think because technically it hit all of those markers that they look for when they are ruling on a hip drop, and when they're doing their ruling at judiciary, it hits all of those markers. That's why it's graded as high as it is. Even though it's only a first offence, it's still graded as a grade 3, so it's quite high because it ticked all the boxes of what a hip drop mechanism is. So essentially it is the majority of your body weight landing on the lower limbs of the attacking player whilst you're holding on to them, and they can't actually twist out of it. So,
and in describing that, yes, 100%. That was very good breakdown of that. And I think you smashed that straight out of the rule book, I think. But I think that people in that description can hear why that's so dangerous.
Yes.
All that weight on that particular part of your body.
Yeah.
Another thing we wanted to talk about, this was your something you raised, Ruan, and I think it's a great point.
My brainchild.
The rookies this season. We have seen some incredible young, fresh talent be blooded in this NRLW season. And you have an idea to kind of celebrate and spotlight these girls who have had their first taste in the NRLW.
Yes, I mentioned this on air on Sunday, and Speedy said, that sounds like a podcast thing. And I immediately had to just say, that was my idea. You can't take it, right? That's my podcast idea. So that's why I texted you guys straight away and said, maybe we should do this. Yes. So we're thinking we're going to put together a class of 2023 rookie team, because there have been some incredible players that have come through. And because of how expanded the competition is, I think we can fill a really strong side in the rookies. So feel free to send your thoughts in. Anybody can send their thoughts in. I'll put one together, and then we'll go from there. So
throughout this podcast, you've raised a fair few names. I'm going to take a pretty easy bet here and think that Lasana Lu too.
Oh, she's in there.
Yeah. Kiriaratu. I've heard you talk about so much as well.
Riley Jorgensen.
Oh, yes.
My mad girl.
Run at the pink headgear.
MAD. I love her. Yep. She's going to be in there somewhere for sure.
So we'll definitely love to hear some of your guys' feedback as well as we put that together, and we will have it for you in the lead up to after the last regular game?
Yeah, maybe after the last round. So that way I'll give a couple of weeks for everybody to get their heads around it and send through their thoughts.
Yeah, beautiful.
And give me some time to find a pen and paper.
Now, we've already alluded to what a big match we'll have this coming weekend when it comes to the Knights and the Roosters, who are at the top of the table facing up against each other. A potential loss for the Roosters looking at this game in Jess Sergis. She's copped a hand injury that could potentially rule her out of this top of the table clash. Can the Knights defeat the Roosters without Jess Sergis? Is that something to even think about? Or will the Roosters, they're pretty strong across the board. That might not necessarily make the difference.
Yeah, well, the Roosters are very strong across the board, and they've got good depth too. It is a loss. It's a massive loss if Jess can't play. Hopefully, even if she can't play this week, hopefully it's only a couple of weeks and then she's back, which will be perfect for them. Because the style that the Roosters play, they love to swing both of their centres. One centre will come around and swing, and then they join up, which is really hard to defend against because they basically come from blindside around, and then they just join in, and it creates that extra number without the defence actually knowing where it's come from. So a lot of their attack is centred around that style, and hopefully she can. But look, I think the Knights can give them a good run. I think they can, because I think Jessie Southwell really stood up in the second half of their game on the weekend. She really took it by the scruff of the neck, and we saw her kicking game really come to the fore as well. And off the back of that, Caitlin Johnston is massive for them. Taylor Predabon is good for them too when she comes. Yazzie Clydesdale, Hannah Southwell through the middle defensively. So I believe they've got what it takes. And then Tamika Upton, seriously, they've got their own great depth and skill set in the Knights. So I'm not going to say that it's a foregone conclusion that the Roosters are going to win this. I think that they will push the Roosters really, really hard, and if they can stay in their game plan and in their system, they might come out with the upset. But again, I can't write off the Tricolours because they're so good.
They are. Oh, it's going to be.
I'm excited. Can you tell? Can you tell? I haven't even done the preview yet. I'm like...
Yes, on the other side of this break, we will do the full preview for round 8 of the NRLW, and we'll also have a chat with the Dragons' Tyla Nathan-Wong. But for now, you are listening to the all-new NRLW Weekly podcast with Marlee Silva and Ruan Sims, thanks to Light and Easy, fueling women in sport. And we'll be right back after this break.
Light and Easy have been named Best Healthy Meal Delivery Service again, but you won't find us stopping to celebrate. We're busy making it easy for Aussies to achieve their well-being goals, and the results speak for themselves. Light and Easy, just good food and great results.
Welcome back to the all-new NRLW Weekly podcast with me, Marlee Silva, and Sky Blues assistant coach Ruan Sims, thanks to Light and Easy, fueling women in sport. And today we've got a chat with Tyla Nathan-Wong, who is a Kiwi Rugby 7 star turned NRLW Dragon. Superstar that we had a bit of a chat with just before the season kicked off. Tyla Nathan-Wong, I want to ask you all about what this team is like and how it's been to come and be a part of it. There's quite a few new girls who have joined the Dragons, but I do know that you've got a couple of teammates who are your roommates as well, and there's one roommate of yours in particular that I know her pretty well, and I don't know if I'd want to live with her. Bobby Law, what's it like to live with her?
Nah, she's pretty good. She was the first person I met from the team when I first got there. Came down and let me and Sowie up into the apartment, so that was a good sign. But no, she's good. We've got Bobby and also Sophie Clancy, and Sophie's the youngest out of the three, but she's probably the best cook out of the three of us. We had a pretty mean lamb roast one weekend, so it's good with living with these three, just up the road from training and all that kind of stuff. Pretty sweet spot down in Wollongong.
Yeah, nice. And who's the cleanest? Is there any bad habits in amongst you?
I got to apologise to my roomies because my hair, it's nice and long. I'm always leaving hair all over the place. So I might vacuum in once a week to make sure it's all clean. But the most untidy, I'd probably have to say Sophie, unfortunately. But she keeps it to her room, which is not bad. Unless the door's open, that's when you see it all.
Oh, nice. Back to the footy stuff. Who out of your teammates has maybe been a bit of a standout that we should be looking out for in this upcoming season?
Just being able to partner in the halves alongside Racine, she's incredible. Our captain for the season, but someone that just leads by example. When she's going to talk and stuff like that, she means business. So it's cool just to be alongside her, play alongside her. Coming from rugby myself and converting to league, I've just learnt so much every single training. I'm learning something new, and it's just cool to finally be in there and with her and playing with her. And then obviously my centre combo with Bobby's not bad either.
And with that code switch, is there any big, difference or something that surprised you in a culture sense? Obviously you're learning the game elements, but is there ways of doing things even just as a team that are different to what it was in rugby?
No, I don't think so. Like, this team's awesome. Like, it's so cool. They were all so welcoming when I came in. I think I came in a week after everyone was there, so they were already kind of there together, and then I came a week after. But they're just such a cool group. Like, we've got a young group. I think I'm like the 4th oldest in the team at the moment, which is, you know, a bit different for me. I started out the youngest when I was in rugby. But yeah, it's a cool bunch of girls. Everyone gets on pretty well, and it's just, for me, it's just a really refreshing moment to just come over here across the ditch and to be in this environment with the team.
Obviously, you've had a career in rugby, and now you've come across, and like you said, you know, there's heaps of young girls in that squad, and I'm sure, you know, being a female athlete over these couple of years, you've seen it grow, seen those opportunities really open up for the next generation. What's something that you think has been like a really positive change that you've seen, even in just like the attitude people are having towards the women's game, or seeing more and more girls being like, I want to be like that when I grow up?
Yeah, I think it starts with like being seen in the first place. Like, if you can see it, you can be it, you can believe it, all that kind of stuff. So just to see the women's game, whether it be rugby, whether it be league, AFL, all that kind of stuff, just seeing it on the screens inspires the next generation, especially the younger girls coming through. Like, they're not just seeing the blokes, you know, on the screen. They're seeing female athletes, you know, who are going out there day in, day out, smashing each other in footy and at a high skill level out there. So it's like, wow, that's actually something that I can aspire to. Like, growing up, there was none of that really. You know, if you wanted to watch a female rugby game back home, it would be on like a live stream that, you know, you had to get a geo blocker or something like that to try and find that live stream. But now it's all over the TV, it's all over the mainstream, which is really cool. And the more it gets pushed out there, the more rounds you see, all that kind of stuff. It's just going to see this new wave come through that are going to take our game to that next level.
And what advice would you give to those girls who are going to be watching you this season, who think, I want to be like Tyla one day?
Jump full, you know, both feet and dive in there really at the end of the day. That's kind of what I've done coming across from rugby. Just dive head first into it, and most importantly, don't lose the fun and the enjoyment of it. You know, when you come into these environments and they start moving to that more professional era, it is a bit of a business at the end of the day, and it gets a bit repetitive, but it's not losing that fun factor. That's why you started in the first place.
Oh, I love that. All about the fun.
Yeah.
That's what you guys are having in studio today too.
Yeah,
love it.
Of course.
Thank you so much, Tyla. I cannot wait to see you out there.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
She is someone who I think embodies what we talk about so much when it comes to a lot of, female athletes across the board. But an incredible role model. She's studying her master's while she's doing this. She's made the sacrifice, living away from her fiance, who she gets married to in a couple months' time, to make this dream a reality. And she's just talked about how much she loves rugby league. She's loving the culture and the community that comes with it. And it paid off this past weekend when they beat their club record in the NRLW for how many points scored when they won up against the Cowboys 48-16, and she was just on fire.
Yeah, she was. But you can see, like, she talks about having fun. You can see her having fun out there. It's very clear, and it comes across really well that she just loves it. Yeah. And I think that's fantastic. And obviously, because she's come from that Sevens background, she's got that level of professionalism just ingrained in her, and you can tell that she just loves footy. So, I think she's been a really good pickup for the Dragons. Really, really good. Her and Ray McGregor in the halves. Very strong. Their whole spine's pretty good. So, no, I really love watching her play, and I can't wait to see her develop more as well.
100%.
Well, see, she's up for a rookie as well.
Oh, yeah. It's funny because
she's
so experienced in the other format, but you'd forget that she is an NRLW rookie.
Exactly.
You've got a tough task.
I do have a tough task. I'm just making it harder for myself, Jordan. What am I doing?
Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've been asking you guys, our listeners, for some questions. And we've got a couple more that have come in. The first one's from Nathan, and Nathan asks, how far away is a full calendar NRLW season where you'd play each team twice?
Hopefully not too far away, Nathan. I'd like to see it sooner. But then, there's a lot of behind the scenes moving parts that need to be squared away before that can sort of happen. But I would love to see that. Yeah. I'd love to see that. I think it'd be really good. It would also mean that the game would then progress really quickly off the back of it, because there's just more football. And like I spoke about earlier, the players are involved in that professional environment for a longer period of time. So then strength and conditioning, medical, recovery, diet, like everything will just be trimming along nicely. And it essentially, for it to go to a full season, the girls have to be paid.
Yep.
They have to be remunerated. They actually have to be paid for their work. So they have to be able to live off the money that they get. So that's where, the moving parts lie. So, for the funding and all that sort of stuff. But I think it's not too far away at all. And I think, it's going to be good for the game when it does. And then as long as you can then have the New South Wales competition and the Queensland competition in line with the NRLW, so that you've got your squad of top 30, say, when it goes to extended, you'd have a top 30 like they have in the men's. If you're not playing there, you're playing reserve grade.
So what you're saying
you're still playing footy.
And those competitions of the New South Wales Harvey Norman competition and the Queensland equivalent would act like proper reserve grade.
Yes, So there would be genuine feeder clubs. So that, and if you're in the top 30 and you're not playing that week, you're playing reserve grade. So you're still playing footy and you're still putting your name forward, like you're still showing what you can do, and you keep your footy fitness up, which is really important because there is no substitute for actual footy fitness. 100%. You can do as many Maz grids as you like and as many Broncos as you like. But
the shudder.
But there's just no substitute for match fitness.
I do feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my assumption would be that considering in this competition expansion we added 4 teams instead of the predicted 2, that the next focus would be on extending the amount of games rather than more clubs straight away.
Well, I'm not sure because I think I heard they want to add a couple of teams soon, but I would like to see the competition expanded first, and then we can look at adding more. And then, but then there's also things like we then look at tinkering with ball size. We also look at then increasing the amount of time that they play. Yeah. So there's a lot of different things that we can definitely do. But to answer your question in a roundabout fashion, Nathan, hopefully not too far away.
Yes. Well, this leads quite nicely into the other question that we have. This one's from Michael, who asked, do you believe the Warriors will return to the NRLW?
Yes. Yeah. I believe they have to.
Yeah.
I think they have to. And you see how strong the men's Warriors team is now. Like they're flying under a great coach. Yeah. So I do want to see the Warriors back in this competition.
The Up the Wars movement.
I know.
I'm so sure we'll call for this resurgence of the women's competition. And there are so many Kiwi women who are playing in the NRLW competition, who are literally living in Australia for this competition and living away from their families and things. And it's similar to what we saw in the men's comp when they were stuck in Australia during COVID and made that sacrifice.
Yeah, they're over here for the whole time.
Everyone wants to be able to live close to their family. So I think that would be a big part.
Yeah, it would. And, I did an interview with Niall Williams-Guthrie earlier in the year, and she moved over and left everybody at home, and she moved over, and thankfully the Titans are able to fly them over every now and then. But same at Harata Butler with the Sharks. She's moved over with one of her sons, and she's over here on her own. So, I think that's why having the Warriors in would be a really great thing for the competition.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, let's get stuck into this. Round 8, every NRLW game is live and free on 9 and 9 now. We're getting to the pointy end. As we've already alluded to, there's some huge games, and even better, we're getting them earlier this week. We've got our second Thursday game. I know. Thursday night. That will be the first game of round 8. It will see the Sharks come up against the Dragons at PointsBet Stadium. This will be interesting.
Yeah, it's a home game for us too. Yeah. We don't have to travel.
Yes.
We're going to be right there.
Yes.
So it's a home. That's why we're so pumped.
Yeah.
Like we are 5 minutes down the road.
10 minutes down.
This will be a good game. The first NRLW local derby between the Sharks and the Dragons, and it's a home game for the Sharks. So PointsBet Stadium is looking the goods at the moment, so the girls will really enjoy playing out there. And obviously we don't have the team list just yet, so we're not sure about what the makeup of both sides looks like. But when you look at the Sharks had a really narrow loss last week, and the Dragons had a very big win last week. So I think the Dragons are coming in with plenty of confidence into this game, and the Sharks will be looking for some redemption. They'll just be looking to just get in and grind it out and come away with a win in front of a home crowd as well. So, and a Thursday night game, 7:30, 7:40.
And the Shire is pumped because their men are into the first week of the finals, and they will show up for this, which is great. Yeah. I have to say, from the Sharks game over the weekend, that kind of late in the game resurgence, it felt like I mean, she's a superstar. You spoke about the award she won at the Brad Fittler medal. Emma Tonagato, the way when she gets her hand on the ball more, she's trying to create something at every given moment, even with a busted nose, everything. I just feel like, she almost single-handedly got them back in that match.
Yeah, she was so strong. She was fantastic. And you can just see the class that she has every time she does create something out of nothing. Very, very classy player. So I think it's going to be very important for the Sharks to make sure that they can get clean ball out to their halves as well, so that Emma has a little bit more time with the ball in hand, and then Taylor's got the opportunity to chime in and swing wherever the space is, because she's another one who can create something out of nothing.
Sure.
And then on the flip side, the Dragons, like Tegan Berry, superstar. Tyla Nathan-Wong, we've spoken about. Ray McGregor. So Ray McGregor's kicking game is paramount here. And this is where the Sharks need to be really careful. They need to minimise the amount of time she has to make a decision, because her kicking game, she'll kick that team to victory because she's very, very good. Her short game is good. Her kick selection is fantastic. Her pass selection is really good. And she's deceptively quick off the mark. Like, she looks like she's moving in slow-mo, but everyone falls for her. She just slots through. So, I think defensively this is going to be a big test for the Sharks.
For sure.
They're going to really need to aim up defensively and make sure that they shore up that middle and minimise the amount of time that Ray McGregor's got to make decisions, and just keep tracking where Tegan Berry is, because she's the threat. She's a massive threat. So, that's this is going to be a great game.
I think it is
I'm really
too.
looking forward to this game.
They both have experience coming back from behind as well, so I think that it'll be right until the 70th minute.
Yes.
They could both be in it.
And that's why it's going to be an exciting game, because I don't think there'll be a blowout score. I think it's going to be very tight, this one.
Can you tell us who you think will win?
Well, I think if the Sharks need to win to keep their
Season alive,
potential shot at, and this is the thing, they're still a they're still a potential
chance
of playing. There's still an option there, an opportunity. So they need to win and win well, against the Dragons to keep their season alive.
Ooh, all right, that'll be a good one. Then we get to Saturday, and the first of a doubleheader that will be happening at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle is the Tigers coming up against the Broncos. Now, the Broncos were the ones who beat the Sharks last weekend. Gail Broughton on fire. The Tigers, they seem to have just slipped, in terms of losing their footing a bit after they started the season quite strong.
And they were missing two of their biggest meter eaters and threats on the weekend. So Sala Tongatuki wasn't playing, and neither was Kezzy App. So I think Kezzy's was just for a Category 1 HIA. So she'll be back this week as long as she's symptom-free. That's a massive boost. And then Sala Tongatuki returning is also a massive boost for them. So it's going to be tough, though, for the Tigers, even with those two high-quality players coming back. When you consider the Broncos, they didn't win the first few rounds, and everyone was, well, not everybody, but people were saying, oh, maybe they're a spent force. You can never write off the Broncos. With the calibre of players that they have, I would never write them off, ever. And you can see it now. They're really starting to click into gear. I think Mariah Denman has been doing really good work at lock for them. And then I actually like Chelsea Lenarduzzi coming off the bench because she just adds a little bit of spark, and she's got the offload, which can create some, indecision in the middle for defence. So, I think this is going to be a really big ask for the Tigers. Yeah. It's going to be a big ask, especially to bounce back from last week, to flush that and then to come out and just sit in it, because they sat in it really well for a period of time and then just got overrun. Yeah. So, I think having Kezzy and Sala back is a big boost for them. But I believe that the Broncos are going to be too strong. Yeah. Too strong in this match.
Then the next game, we've already spoken quite a bit about it. So I might just ask you, Roo, to tell us, out of the Knights and the Roosters, who do you think is going to get on top for that second game on Saturday?
I don't want to say one team or the other because it is going to be an epic game.
Yeah.
It's going to be an epic game of football.
It could
You know
potentially
what?
be
You know
the.
what? Football's going to be the winner.
Football's
Football's going to be the winner. You just called me Splinters.
Yeah. Well, look. Yeah, I think it's gonna be. It's gonna be great.
It's going to be a great game. Look, I think if the Knights can, like I spoke about earlier, if the Knights can stay in their game plan for the whole 70 minutes, they can potentially upset the Roosters.
Yeah.
They can, but they need to be on their game for the whole time. Because, I mean, you even saw it for the Roosters on the weekend. They were in an arm wrestle for the start of the first 15, 16, 17 minutes.
Yeah.
And all they need is a sniff of an opportunity and they just flood it. And then it just opens.
Yeah.
And so that's why the Roosters are so good, because they're very patient.
Yes.
They're very, very patient with that
Just
stuff.
slick and
And
all class.
then the only thing was there was a couple of times where I'm sure John Strange will have addressed it will address it this week. They went away from their system and they started going for offloads that weren't there and pushing passes that they didn't need to. That could be the only downfall for them. So they're usually incredibly patient and they'll stay with it. So especially leading up to finals, I think he'll want to see that out of them. He'll want to see them stay in the system and not get too fast and loose just if the scoreline gets away.
I mean, speaking of John Strange too, he's coaching up against his daughter's team.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah, he
And
is.
Jassie's been playing so well
She
for
has.
the night. So that'll be an interesting one in the household this week, I'm sure. After that incredible match on Saturday, we then get to Sunday, head up to the Gold Coast, and the first match of that doubleheader there will be the Cowboys and the Raiders. Cowboys obviously had that big loss against up against the Dragons. Raiders, they had that disappointing
Narrow loss.
narrow loss as well. So both looking for a bit of redemption.
Yeah, I think they are. I think the Cowboys they've just copped a few big scores, and they started the season so well, and we saw them come from behind at Belmore and had that great win there, and then there's just been a couple of things that haven't gone their way.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that Ben Jeffries will just be able to reset them and say, it's all right, like flush it, let's get into this.
Yep.
You know, this is what we need to do, hit all your points and then just stay in it and just work and grind. But I think the Raiders are going to get this one. Considering that they're a brand new team, how connected they are, the style of football that they play. Zahara Temara is having a breakout, well, not a breakout season, she's having a wonderful season. And, you know, a couple of weeks ago we were just talking about how she put out one of the most dominant halves performances we've ever seen. Yeah. So, you know, I think with her steering the ship, and then Ash Quinlan off the back of that too is creating a lot of things. So, yeah, I think it's going to be the Raiders for this one for me against the Cowboys. They'll continue the pain for the Cowboys, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately.
Sorry, Cowboys fans.
And then our last game of the round, we'll see the Titans at home coming up against Parramatta.
Yeah. This will be a really good game because the Titans last week were very scrappy, and that whole game was, I think the longest I recall the ball being in play for was about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. So there wasn't a lot of fatigue in that game. There was a lot of errors and things like that, and I think that's where Karen Murphy will just say, right, listen, we need to tighten up these areas because we can't have that, especially coming into finals. Yeah. We need to make sure that we're hitting our straps. But then also, like, incredible individual performances. Georgia Hale was amazing for them. Shannon Marto was huge for them. And Lauren Brown was excellent in that number 7 jersey. So I think they've really found their rotation well too. The Titans. So I think Karen Murphy will be wanting to see them just put some polish on things over the next couple of weeks leading to finals, because they're in there top slot. You know?
Yeah, they are.
And the Eels, they were in that contest on the weekend for maybe 15 minutes or so, and then a slight switch off, and that's when the Roosters just put the pedal down. Yeah. But we saw Rachel Pearson's kicking game is going to be key for them this week, because she can move them around the park brilliantly. Well, and then what about that last kick she put in for Kimberly Hunt? That stuff like that is magic. It's absolute magic, and they've got that in them, the Eels. So I think that the Eels will push the Titans here at home. I think they really will. Yeah. I think the Titans will get the win, but I believe that there's some really good signs out of out of the Eels.
Yeah.
So even though it was quite a big score on the weekend, there's still some things that they are doing really well. So I think they'll take some lessons out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
well,
Titans at home.
Titans at home for that last one. We are in for another cracking round of NRLW. Make sure you're watching all of those games live and free on 9 and 9 now. Roo, this season's going way too fast
Too
for me.
quick, I don't like it.
But thank you, as always, for your wisdom. And I guess we'll catch you guys next week.
For sure.
See ya.
With the finals around the corner, NRL on 9 has you covered.
From match highlights, press conferences, and don't forget, Fred in the 8.
Of course.
NRL on 9 has you covered for everything. One-stop shop.
Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a moment.